Hello, everyone. I just want to give you some quick updates and whatnot. I'm going to try not to ramble. This is actually my third time doing this, but anyway, I just want to give an announcement first. Those of you who watch this video up into the commercial part, because yes, I actually do put breaks in my videos. After that will be about the field trip around Labor Day. So if you want to stick around for that, you can. If not, that's fine. But as of now, I'm just going to go over something with you guys a little bit here. I'm sorry I've been MIA. This summer's been particularly bad for me. Those of you that know me know I turned 50 this year. I suffer from seasonal depression in the summer, which is opposite of most people. I mean, you'll hear me chuckling, but it's not really that fun. And it's been an exceptionally hot, humid, rainy year, which is like the thing I hate more than anything. Okay, so just bear with me, guys. I'm so glad for those of you who still support me in all this, but there's other stuff, other changes I'm trying to make in my life right now that I'll talk about later that I don't want to bring up here. But anyway, the Midwest Institute of Geosciences and Engineering, which is those of you that have known me have known that this has been a non-for-profit since 2009 that I started. It's originally based in Illinois. It's now based in Michigan. So if you look it up on Illinois, you're not going to see that it's up to date. You got to go to Michigan to do that. Anyway, I digress. This is the organization, non-for-profit, that's running the field trip. But anyway, I digress. I want to talk about this today. You guys that know me know I'm a strong believer in identifying rocks from lithology, not from an interpretive standpoint in the field. There is a reason for this. There's many reasons for this. They have to do with the fact that we rely on subsurface data in a lot of areas where the geology is pretty level and flat-lying, like in glacial areas for superficial geology where there's not a lot of change on the surface, but the subsurface has a lot. A lot of people put their water wells in there, so that, and you can actually hunt for water this way up above the bedrock aquifers. And this is something that needs to be done because I'm just going to say this, and this is my honest opinion, 90% of water well records are bullshit. Okay, they're not bullshit, they're shit. Okay, I see some drilling records where they're really, really good at, picking out lithology and doing things like color and stuff like that. But the problem is, a lot of these drillers, they aren't trained to do that, or they're trained very loosely, or they're engineers. Engineers care about sand, silt, and clay. They don't care about what color it is. They don't care about how, wet it is, how plastic it is. Not when they're drilling water wells. Okay? That's all they care about. So a lot of times that's all you'll see. You'll see sands, you'll see hard sand, soft sand at best. You might get that because engineers do care about consolidation. So you'll see soft sand, hard sand, clay, silt, sand. Well, yeah, okay. So in order to be able to get people better at doing that, that's one of the things I actually plan on running a sort of geotechnical school to help people with this problem. All right. Now, you should do it through lithology. Most geologic maps, 7.5 quadrangle scale, 1 to 24,000, they are going to be in lithology. Why? Because no one gives a shit when they're walking around on the ground if that rock they're looking at is Cambrian or Ordovician, except for people who are interested in the history of life, the history of the earth, biostratigraphy, chemostratigraphy, that kind of stuff. They are interested in that, all right? But the vast majority of the people that go out there and look at geologic maps are going to be like, well, which formation is this that I know I can find this in? I know this for people will go to geologic maps of Illinois and focus on where's the St. Peter sandstone. Why? Because it's a massive aquifer out here in the Midwest. And it's one of the cleanest sands you'll ever meet. So people, just by knowing St. Peter, people who are looking for water resources, glass resources, aggregate resources, all know the St. Peter is great for that. okay? And if you just write sand, that doesn't tell them anything. All right, that's why we as geologists are a little more meticulous in this. And we have been getting away over the years from this interpretive type thing. Like, I got into an argument with a guy who I was calling something a rhyolite, and he's like, no, that's not a rhyolite, that's a blah, blah, blah ash. Dude, if this was a rock in a box on a petrology test, no one is going to know that's what it is. You are going off interpretation. It being an ash flow is an interpretation. Basically how I'm trying to design this is, if I presented this to you in a rock in a box, would you be able to identify it? What would you call it? Nobody's going to sit there and say, oh, that's an ash flow from the whatever. They're not going to know that out of context, okay? This is why rock apps, this is why sending me pictures of random rocks without context doesn't work if you want a detailed description, okay? So, and a lot of people, there are a lot of professionals that don't realize that, right? You're going to call that pink looking felsic aphanitic rock or rhyolite. That's what you're going to call it. And that makes sense. Now you can worry about the interpretation and stuff later, and if you can get it down, because a lot of rhyolites out there, honestly, are probably ash flows. I'm not going to lie, they're ash flows. And we didn't really learn about this until late last century, because rhyolites, as a magma, as a volcanic eruption to the surface, lava from a magma to a lava, a melt, would be very viscous. They don't want to come to the surface. Can they? Oh, sure they can. But there's very few examples of them. Most seem to be ash flows. Can they blow up into the atmosphere a lot easily and settle down? Yeah, they can. And we've come to this conclusion from using chemostratigraphy and other methods, but you can't sit there and tell the exact chemical composition of a rock in the field. No one can do that, okay? That's not a thing. And if you have biostratigraphy, you can do that in the field, but a lot of times biostratigraphy, that defining unit, won't be present at the surface, or it just wasn't deposited there or whatever. So you've got to rely on lithology. You can't rely on this interpretive stuff, okay? And I know that frustrates some people, but that's just the way it is, all right? So I'm trying to design a way where I can start from just a purely lithological standpoint and leave the interpretive stuff to last. Because those of you that have listened to me before have known that I have sat there and said our three basic rock types, igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic, are completely interpretive, and they are. But they're not going away, and I know that. And I'm not even going to attempt to change that. We're beyond that point now, okay? But I'm trying to get you to design, think about it this way. And here you can see, this is something I've been working on for years. This is the last time I've converted it to PDF. That doesn't mean I've stopped working on it. And I need your guys' opinion to see if this is viable. If you understand this, because if I can't train somebody some basic field procedures to go out in the field and identify rocks, this doesn't matter to me. I know a lot of people that watch my videos are not professionals, and I don't want you to be professionals. My job doing YouTube is not to train professionals. It's to help professionals, but it's also to train and educate adults. All right? Like I've said before, you can go anywhere on YouTube and find basic principles of geology. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to get you to think. I'm here to get you to explore. I'm here to get you to help me. I need public opinion. I need those, you asked me this 20 years ago, I wouldn't have said this, but I need those citizen scientists. Okay? I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything, all right? But anyway, let's get into this and let's just see if the structure is good for you guys. All right. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take general field procedure for phaneritic rocks. Phaneritic, what does that mean? Well, phaneritic means you can identify mineralogy or at least grain size without a hand lens, You can see it with the naked eye, at least grain or crystal shape. And this is something else geologists need to get away from. We will often say grain when we mean crystal. We all do it. We all do. People, PhDs do this. I do it. I'm trying to get away from that because a grain is different than a crystal. Okay? A grain has a different shape. All right? It's like it said, grain. It's more rounded and globular. Can you get granular igneous rocks? Of course you can. From an anhedral crystallization process where you don't get well-developed euhedral crystals. Sorry, I'm dropping terms on you here, but yeah, I just, sorry, I'm trying to keep this relatively short. It's going to be half an hour anyway. Well, probably not this part, but anyway. So you go to phaneritic, and a lot of people think of phaneritic when it comes to igneous, they equate it with plutonic. And that's phaneritic just means you can see the grains of the crystals in this case, okay? With the naked eye. Doesn't mean you can necessarily tell what they are without a hand lens. Just means you can see them. And from there, I've divided it out into grainy and crystalline, okay? Crystalline is just like it said. You've seen crystals before. They have relatively sharp, clear, angular definitions and angular crystal faces. Now, there is euhedral, which is really well developed, and subhedral is partially well developed to partially not, and then anhedral, crystals which are just globular or not quite globular or granule, but very poor crystal development or poor crystal development. And then you get the ones that look grainy because the whole thing was just really poorly developed crystals. Okay. But here, what you see is crystalline. Okay, you have a crystalline rock. Primary, secondary. Are those crystals primary or secondary? Meaning, did they form with the rock? And I know this is interpretive land a little bit, but you can determine this by looking in a hand lens. If the crystals, you can tell if they've have overgrowths. Okay, you can tell that. And an overgrowth is just a term which means the crystals have grown a little. It's a secondary thing. They didn't form when this rock was deposited. Something else happened later. Okay, you can tell that by looking at a rock in a box. Okay, and then we go down to colors. Okay, relative colors, acid reactions, and then we get down to here, and this is where we start to get into, well, is this sedimentary, igneous, or metamorphic? Okay, because we have to get to that at some point. And then you get the grainy, and you can see here I have this, but you can have grainy looking igneous phaneritic rocks. And I've actually seen people get this confused in Ripon, Wisconsin, from drilling chips. A lot of times when they drill down to look for resources, they won't take cores. They'll just take the auger cuttings. And my opinion of that is neither here nor there. It's a talk for another time. But it can cause confusion. And they thought they had an Arcos, or they thought they had an igneous, or no, they thought they had an Arcos. Sorry, they thought they had a sedimentary Arcos unit at the base of the Cambrian, which meant, oh crap, we're in Wisconsin. Maybe you got some pre-Cambrian here or early Cambrian sediments. And then one of the professors there who had access to them looked at him. He said, "No, this is just weathered granite." Okay, so you can have a granular type, and a lot of time granites, when they weather, they will look granular, more granular than crystalline, because those mafics, which tend to be the most euhedral, well-formed crystals, will weather out first. And then the feldspars get eaten at from the outside in, and the crystals become more granular looking. And quartz usually forms globular or granule anyway in granites. So sometimes you get some really good crystals, but not usually. Anyway, so here you get to that. That's just, I have to add that part. I haven't added that yet. Not to here, on the other ones I have. And then you get to know, and you get down here, and you hit here, and you get to your interpretation, but you have C-aphanitic chart. This is your finds. This is stuff you can't see without a hand lens. Doesn't mean you can't identify it, just means you can't see. I wish that wouldn't happen. Anyway, so then you get kicked down to the aphanitic, right? Which are just stuff you can't see with the naked eye. You can't tell the mineralogy with the naked eye. but that doesn't mean you can't do it with a hand lens or simple tests. Okay, so here you have aphanitic, and you get structured, unstructured, or amorphous. Amorphous just means no obvious internal structure. These will end up being your things like glass. Glass is not really an interpretive thing. It may sound interpretive, but it's not. You get a lot of, see here, volcanic glass. I mean, that you get down to the interpretive part, okay? But glasses are basically just like you think. They're natural, like you would glass. They can be colored or, opaque or semi-transparent, stuff like that. They do follow a thing, and I have added to this since then. This is just the basic flow, okay? Now you get an aphanitic. These are ones you can see with simple field techniques or simple lab techniques. You have structured and unstructured, and people may think, well, igneous rocks are unstructured. Of course, no, that's not true. You can get bedding in igneous rocks, and it's not just lava flows. You can get them in magma chambers as well. You go to Duluth and you look at the mid-continent rocks there. There are bedded magma chambers, okay? It happens. So that's where you get the structured versus unstructured, and then you get down here and you get this. But I just want you guys to look at this and see if you can follow this, and if you think this is something with minimal training. Sorry, that actually was not a rear end excursion there. That was my leg. But anyway, if you guys could look at this, and if you think if I trained you a little bit in something that's not just 16, 17 minutes long, if you could use this chart, or do you think there's something else? I will take any constructive ideas. I will take any constructive criticism. If you get off in the woo-woo la-la land, I'm just going to ignore you, although most of you that follow me don't do that. There's always that one guy, though. Just saying. Okay, that aside, we're going to get into the field trip part now. So there's a commercial coming up. If you don't want to stay for that and stay for the field trip part around Labor Day weekend, you don't have to, okay? But I'm going to talk to those people who have signed up, all right? Okay, if you go to mige-web.org, you see Romulus. Is this Romulus or Remus? I think it's Romulus here. All my rocks by the shed. These inside now. They're all inside. But anyway, you go here and you go to field trips. This comes up. I need to change this, but I'm going to tell you guys about it first. I am no longer taking parts for this. One person has signed up for it, and I will keep my word. He paid for it. He's going to get what he paid for. Okay. So, but I'm probably going to bring my truck. I'm not going to get a van since it's only one person in my truck can do everything the van can do. Okay. Not really, that's the only difference. I will probably give him $20 off for that. Okay. The rest of you have picked these two, which will still stay open. Okay. And you are more than welcome to come and still register for these. However, and I will put this on the website, after this weekend, refunds are not going to happen. Why? It's not because I'm greedy, okay? It's because I need to purchase some things, some little trinkets for you guys. I need to print some stuff out. So when you come to the field trip, you're prepared and you have some stuff, that you can use, okay? So you can follow what I'm doing. It's stuff for like demonstrations and stuff like that, okay? I need to be able to purchase this stuff at this point so it comes in time. Now, I know it's only a couple weeks, but we should still have enough time. All right? And if you click on this, this tells you what you can get, but you may be like, well, what does that entail? Well, already, if you want, down here, you go down here, packing list, tells you what you absolutely should bring. There will be some strenuous physical parts, but you are not required to go on those. If you guys just want to sit and chill, walk around, that's fine. Okay, you don't need to break your back. All right, I'm not going to do that to you. I do have a health and safety plan. All right, just general stuff. You don't have to sign this. All right, you don't have to. Okay, so you just need to look it over. And then I have this. This is the syllabus. I will bring copies with me. But for those of you not on the most expensive trip, which is everybody, you need to be here at 9:30 a.m. You will actually see me at the gate before that, okay? And remember, you are responsible for your own passes if you're not in the most expensive one, okay? So, yeah, and then I will guide you in from there, and you'll follow me and park behind me, okay? That's where you need to be on August 30th, 2025. You need to be here, okay? All right, that's the South Lake Road and Burma Road entrance. That's where we'll meet, at Devil's Lake. That is on, okay, that's on the north, that's the north entrance, not the south entrance. The road is South Lake Road, but it's on the north side. And those of you that have been to Devil's Lake know exactly what I'm talking about. This is the northwest entrance side. This isn't the site where you go around to the campgrounds and come in that way. You can come in that way too, but no, or from the south. You're not coming in that way. And this is actually a typo. This is meant to say West Bluff. We're not going up the East Bluff, and we won't have time. The West Bluff, and this is physically strenuous. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to take a little bit out of you. But if you don't want to go up the hill, you don't have to. Just be known that, sorry, we won't be back until about 2. All right? Okay, so this is the full syllabus, and it's free. All right, I'm going to update the website today. You can tell the date down here. So yeah, this stuff won't go anywhere. There is, however, is it Zoho? I believe it's on Zoho Forms. Hopefully I won't have to log in. If I do, I do. I have to log in. Let's see if I can just do it this way. Oh, by the way, those are both my emails if you need to get a hold of me. If you see something from these emails, check your spam, because I have sent everybody registered right now an email for a waiver to sign. And it will be here. I sent you a link. You don't need to be signed up for Zoho or pay any money or anything like that. You just click on the form, you fill it out, and I'll get the notification. And right now, only 2 people have filled it out. So guys, look in your spam. If you get something from one of these emails, it's me, okay? Oh, and also, if you go sign up for a field trip, I don't feel like logging in, but you'll get a waiver. I will bring some to me with the field, so you can sign them there if you want to. But you will not be going on this trip without signing a waiver. I have to do that, okay? Especially in case someone gets hurt, all right? But, I just had it in my head and I forgot about the field trip. What was I going to say? Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. But read these, go through them. I will be changing this today. See, like here, it says the cheapest one, it's cheapest per person. Now, honestly, at this point, if you want to bring your wife or kid, I'm not going to push it, all right? I'm not going to be like, no, you need another $47. Hand me money when you get there. I'm not that guy, dude. Okay, I'm just not going to do it. But remember, if you do bring your kid will have to sign you will have to sign the waiver on behalf of your kid, and you will be responsible for your minor child. Okay, I can't keep watch of him. Okay, you'll be responsible for them, because I'm going to keep my job during this field trip is to keep it moving. Okay, and to keep you guys, going, interested, and all that stuff. Okay. Same thing with option 2. If you bring your wife or cousin or a brother or a sister or a mother, whatever, it includes the lectures. I will bring drinks. I am going to bring a lot of drinks. Hopefully a decent variety, and then there'll be potato chips, fruit bars, etc. I will have a couple vegan. I'm going to try. Oh, Remus, you okay? He's going to start yowling, by the way. A couple of vegan options if I can find them reasonably. There is a website I do plan. I'll even bring a couple MREs. The MREs are basically for the more expensive. Those things are not cheap. But we'll see how it goes. I may sit there and say, look guys, I know you didn't pay for this, but here. All right, the basic thing is I'm going to need more people next year, and I am going to ask you guys, where do you think you want to go next year? But we'll worry about that later. But anyway, just go here. As I said, I'm going to update this. These are photos from the Upper Peninsula. This is from going with ISU in 2023, I think. That's what all these pictures are from. And quite honestly, I'd like to have 2026 up here. There's a lot to see. There really is. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, we're coming up on 27 minutes here. So I just want to say that you will be sent a waiver if you sign up. I will require your contact information on the waiver too. That's basically in case you get hurt. All right. You see, Remus is saying now, do it now. He's yelling out the window. He's not in pain. He's just Remus, Las Vegas. Okay. Anyway, that's it. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I hope you learned something. We still got plenty of room for you guys to come up. And yeah, that's it. Have a good day.